behind that.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody! You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE.
Give me a hell yeah!
Now, let's meet the host.
Are you ready?
Kyle Gagliardi.
The face that runs the place.
Jim Tucker.
It's a kid.
And Erica Marini.
I'm the boss. I'm the blueprint. I'm the standard.
Well, I think we've had enough talk. It's time for the main event.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi. And joining me this week is my good friend, Erica Marini. Erica, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a while. I'm not sure I remember how to do this, but
It's only been
I'm
a
here.
couple weeks
It's
for
good.
you.
Yeah, but you know, it's a lifetime.
It's
ultimately.
like riding a bicycle. You'll be just fine because it's a very easy episode. It's very self-explanatory.
Well, speak for yourself.
Yeah, we went back and forth. We're like, you know what? Do we want to talk about the current product, maybe get into Raw, NXT, and AEW? But we do that a lot. So I texted you. I was like, hey, how about a Q&A? We'll let the listeners steer the ship this week. And you said, fuck it, let's do it.
Like the idea.
We'll see how much interaction we get. If you didn't send in any questions earlier, it's okay. We will interact too with live questions because, you know, not everybody is following us on all of our social media accounts. But as you can see, Tuck is not joining us this week.
No.
I believe he said he's got volleyball this time?
Well, if you ask Tuck, it's volleyball. If you ask you, it's because Tuck hates me. So we're going to go with volleyball.
You guys are dodging each other. We haven't been on a show with us three in probably like 3 weeks. What's up with that?
We had a major falling out.
People are starting to murmur.
So I haven't mailed your shirt yet, Tuck. It's all boxed up.
Yeah, take that, Tuck. She's keeping that there.
It's got nothing to do with the anxiety of going to the post office to mail it.
I will give you that. I do not like mailing stuff like that. Like I'll put something in my mailbox, but I don't like going to places and be like, here, ship this out.
Can you do this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a little awkward. Robbie Collins checking in, saying, hello.
Hey,
What's going on, Robbie? Robbie sent in a few questions. We got about 20 of them, so not quite sure how long this is going to take. Some are good, some not so good, but hey, we appreciate all the feedback we're getting.
Yes.
Before we get into the questions, though, Eric, we got to remind the listeners about the merchandise that we have at the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. No promo code going on. No new merch, but still a lot of good stuff on there. Like I said last week, we got the fall season approaching. It's time to bundle up. You know, the hoodies are very comfortable, wouldn't you say?
They are very comfortable, both the full length and the cropped.
Oh, you got both.
Super soft. I do.
Look at you. You fancy.
Mm-hmm.
You going to any wrestling shows coming up?
No. Hi, Mr. Bogus.
Which is weird for you because I feel like you're always going to a wrestling show.
I'm in a lull.
Yes, you are, because me and Tuck have really been going to them. SCW, the wrestling channel, Steve checking in. He says, hello, Kyle and Erica. Hope you're doing both well. We are. Dirk Vogus in the house. Hello, Dirk Vogus. He's saying hello to Robbie, and Robbie's saying, good to check in live. Been busy with college lately. Hey, look at this. Moving up in the world. What are you studying, Robbie? I'm very curious. I studied in sports broadcasting, hence why we're doing this podcast. And Erica obviously studied in sports broadcasting too, right?
No, I'm just a natural.
What did you study in?
Booze and food.
Oh, I didn't get that when I was there. That's unfortunate. Yeah. Bring on the Q&A, Steve says. Looking forward to this. So so this style is similar to what Steve does on his wrestling channel from time to time. He'll go live and he'll just have the chat fill it up with questions. So I kind of took it from him. So go ahead and check out his content as well. But we might as well just get right into the Q&A, Eric. I'll let you go first on this one. I at least gave you a heads up because Ryan Vogus was a little late to asking his questions. So I had to audible and rearrange how we are going to answer these questions. But I thought his would be a good way to start things off. So let's start off with the MVM Ryan Vogus. He asked, with the PWI 500 that just came out this week with Roman at the number 1 spot, who is your top 5 this year? And I want to put this out there if people don't know that their rankings go from July 1st last year to June 30th this year. So I think that's where I'm going to try to base my rankings, but I kind of threw this at you last second, Erica. So were you able to come up with anything on what your personal top 5 would be? And well,
you know how my brain works.
Well, first off, let me ask you, did you see the top 5 that they released?
I did. I forget it. I know Roman was 1.
Roman Reigns was number 1.
Okada was in top 5.
Okada was there. CM Punk, Hangman Page, and Bobby Lashley. I believe that is the correct order. So what would your personal, and it doesn't have to be off of, their qualifications. It could be the way you're viewing wrestling. What would your top 5 be?
I mean, in no particular order, I guess you can keep number 1 as number 1. No one had a bigger year than Roman Reigns, and that would be hard to argue. You can consider this an official acknowledgement, but
Put your ones up. Put your ones up. Come on, Marini. Do it. Acknowledge him, chat. Let's see it. Put the ones in the chat.
It's there. Then in no particular order, but maybe this isn't an order. I had Bryan Danielson because he left WWE and maybe he wasn't a huge main event player. I'm not really sure if that's part of their protocol or whatever the word is, but he came back just to have killer matches, and that's exactly what he's done. I haven't been disappointed in one of his matches yet. Punk, for obvious reasons, he came back, he conquered. I think Seth Rollins. I'm not sure if it's main event material, if it's main events that he's been in. I just think he's done an excellent job at keeping himself fresh and his character and reinventing and rounding it up. I have Mox. I don't know if he meets. I think that's the reason he didn't make into the top 10 is that the timing was off. Right. But then also MJF for similar reasons to Seth Rollins, just that he constantly felt new and none of his rivalries ever got stale. And every time I kind of counted him out, I thought like, all right, we're going to see a little bit less of him. Like he'd, music would hit and I'd be like, oh my God, I love this feud. So it just, I don't know, in that aspect.
I think that's a fair ranking. I actually like yours better than what they came up with. Obviously, we don't know the time frame exactly of when these people were doing these runs. We're doing it off the top of our head. But Bogus, the guy who asked the question, his top 5 is Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, KO, which honestly, that's not a bad spot for him. You got to remember, he main evented WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like
that's true.
It doesn't get much bigger than that. And then Moxley, who carried AEW for a while. I also left Moxley off my top 5. My top 5, I had Seth Rollins at number 5, basically for the reasons that you said, just so consistent, so good. And every feud, felt fresh and the story was fantastic. So I put him at number 5. The guy that he was feuding with, number 4, Cody Rhodes, also wrestled in AEW during this time frame. And then he comes over and makes his surprise return at WrestleMania, and the rest is history. So I felt like he definitely had to be in my top 5. I put Okada number 3. I don't personally watch anything that Okada is doing over in New Japan, but based off what I was hearing from PWI, he kind of deserved that spot in the top 5. So I'll acknowledge that.
Rank you.
Hey, nice shirt. Look at that.
I had to rep.
Yeah, fair enough. Number 2, I had Hangman Page. He was champion for most of this time frame, and sure, the feuds weren't great, but I thought the matches were very solid. Bryan Danielson had fantastic matches with Page. CM Punk, he had a match with him. Lance Archer. I know there's a lot of names I'm missing, but Hangman Page was very consistent over that time frame. And then number 1's obvious, and there's a reason he's number 1 on most people's lists, Roman Reigns. I got to give it to Roman. Sorry, last year when he was number 2, I thought, well, there's not going to. That's probably where it's going to end. That's probably where it's going to cap off. There's no way that he'll make it to number 1. Like the year that he's had last year, or at this point, maybe 2 years ago, I was like, he'll never make it. So the fact that he is number 1, like, I don't know how you argue it. Yeah, it got better and more enjoyable, which is
speaks
volumes of his talent. Robbie said he was studying in sports journalism, so
nice.
Very fitting. Welcome to the club. Mikey just missed it. He said, "Where is Tucky?" He's doing volleyball stuff.
We're not good enough for you, Mikey?
And then Mikey acknowledges my Hangman at number 2 with some cowboy shiznit. So there's one question off the Q&A. Let's move on here. And speaking of Mikey Wilson, his question was next on the list, Erica, and he asked, I'll let you go first here as well. We haven't seen much of the 24/7 title since Triple H took over. Will we be seeing a return of that title, or you think they're just going to neglect it like it never was a thing?
Honestly, thank you, Papa H, because I hope that they neglect it or give it some sort of final fanfare when R-Truth retires. Let that belt retire with him. Let him go out on top with it, and just we'll pretend it never happened, and we'll all move on.
I didn't hate it as much as most people, but I did dislike when it bled over into matches, like the segments that they were doing for the title. They'd be in the middle of a match and then they just interrupt it, and then
it was always very like hokey. I don't know if that's the word, but it was always there was nothing serious to it, which would be fine, but like I don't know, it just didn't really gel.
So you think we're done with the 24/7 title?
We might be, and if we are, I'm all right.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. So next question. Robbie Collins asked, if you could come up with any match type, what would it be? And I thought that was a very good question, Erica, because there is a lot of match types that are already out there. I, on the fly, really can't think of anything. Is there anything that you could personally think of? Because it seems like they've covered a lot of bases with match stipulations.
You'd think that it is, but I feel like then something would come out. Someone would come up with something. I'd be like, it's like when you invent something and you're like, why didn't I think of that? It was right here.
This is something I'm literally just coming up at the top of my head. I don't know what you would call it, but it starts in a steel cage and you have to earn your way out of it either by pinfall or climbing over. And then it turns into falls count anywhere after that. So it starts in that little area and then it ends just anywhere. The unpredictability would be very weird. I don't know what you would call that, but yeah, that's a good
thought.
That's me going at the top of the dome. Anything that really comes to your head or not really?
No, my brain went to steel cages, weapons, and then food. I don't know. So probably not.
So like the Miracle on 34th Street matches they do?
Yeah, exactly.
Tossing cookies and shit at people.
The food is the weapons. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. The Marini Street match. There it is. Robbie agrees with you, Erica. We need R-Truth to go out with that belt. It's only true. Yeah, he's the I-65, 89, 12 champion, whatever he calls it. What's Mikey saying? Ethan Page pins Dana Brooke, and brings yet another title to AEW.
You know what? They need it.
You know, he did say last night on Dynamite he was hunting some titles. So maybe is Dana Brooke the 24/7 champion? Now that I think about it,
I don't know, but I'm gonna die if she is, and Mikey knew that.
Yeah, fair. Hey, props to him if that is the case.
Exactly.
All right, let's go to this next one. This is from Ian, our friend Ian Garvelia. On Twitter, he asked for our OTM pay-per-view card. Now, he wants a main event, a tag team match, Extreme Rules death match, and one match of your choosing. Did you have the chance to even think about this or no?
No, but then I was kind of confused because does he mean like our friends, like people that watch and stuff?
Yeah, he's talking about the listeners, the hosts,
off
everybody.
the top of my head, I think it would be Ryan Matthews versus Ryan Bogus in the main event.
That might also
be like a hardcore death match main event because there can only be one.
Okay, there's one match. I have a full card. Do you want to hear it?
I want to hear it. Yeah, I do.
I know I spilled the beans to Ian. He wanted to see what I had, but he loves this card. So here's what I got. I have on the pre-show a battle royal for all the listeners that weren't on the match card. So you can fight it out for the MVM there in the battle royal. That's how we'll put that on the line right there. So that's the start. Vogus is saying, by the way, that'd be a squash match between him and Ryan. So the funny thing is I do have Matthews and Vogus in a match, but I'll get to that soon. One of my regular matches is the Battle of the Steves. You have Steve Signor taking on Steve from SCW, the wrestling channel, to find out who is the number one Steve in the OTM universe. So I got that on the card. My Extreme Rules death match, Erica, is you versus Ian. I have the older veteran taking on the young buck that talks a lot of shit. So
R.I.P. Ian.
Yeah, I think I would lean towards you in that match. You're wiser, the crowd would get behind you. So I'd book you as the baby face in that match.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tag match for the OTM tag team titles. I have the Voguses. So Dirk and Ryan Vogus teaming up to take on Ryan Matthews and Mikey Wilson. Ryan Matthews and Mikey Wilson are always trying to get the MVM, but Vogus usually comes out on top. And it just makes sense for Ryan Vogus to tag with his dad. You got that.
Yeah.
You got that relationship already.
That lineage of
the bloodline,
the pedigree. Yeah.
Right. This question is amazing. I did enjoy this question.
That's a good one, Ian.
This main event's kind of it tells itself here. Main event: me versus Tucky for the OTM title, with special guest referee Jeremy Tillema, who was a guest on this show, who's actually a referee. So it only made sense. No offense, Erica, but OTM started with me and Tucky.
Right.
So I think main eventing with babyface Tuck and heel Gags, that's the main event. So yeah.
Book it.
There's my card. Do you have any other matches? I couldn't have
answered better. No, that was a thing of beauty.
I want to see if anybody in the comment section has any matches they would like to see on the OTM dream card.
Yeah, that was a good question, Ian.
Probably the best.
But that was a good question.
Probably the best question we got. And Mikey Wilson, again, he has another one here, Erica. Are we waiting to take all the titles off the bloodline for a special PLE? Lose all the titles in separate matches. You'll have a tag match and a world title match, which could be the demise of the bloodline. Could this potentially happen at the day one pay-per-view? This is a very long-winded question. Or they could each lose the second match at day one, but retain one set of titles in the first match, then lose those titles for the next pay-per-view and drag the storyline out. So that is a very long question that I'm not following, but do you have an answer to that?
So do you think that there's one pay-per-view where they lose everything, or is there a pay-per-view where they maybe lose the SmackDown belts? And then the next pay-per-view, they lose the Raw belts, like that.
I think I like it that way better. What do you think? Like where they lose it separately?
I do. Or I don't know if it's, and it's difficult having all the belts be, what's the word?
Unified,
because it kind of makes it messy in that sense of losing everything at once. But I can't help but think about like when the Undisputed Era had all the gold and then they lost it. It started with the tag belts and then didn't it? And then Adam Cole lost it. So if it was just single belts, I would think maybe like all at once, but I think it definitely starts with the tag belts. I don't know, because then who would you see being? Yeah, you're right. That's a really good question, Mike.
It is a tough question to answer. I think like I said, I would like it for them to lose maybe one at a time and make it a slow burn rather than just ripping the Band-Aid off and doing it all at once.
Because then that could start problems within.
So we have questions that are kind of playing off of this. It looks like Bogus and Robbie are kind of in the same direction. Robbie said, could you do like a Survivor Series match, the Bloodline in a team versus another team? That's what Vogus was asking. Going off of that, who is your fantasy Survivor Series 5v5 versus the Bloodline? Well, I think Drew McIntyre has got to be on the other side, right?
Yep.
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens.
You
have those three right there, and then you probably want to get maybe because he has past history with Roman Reigns. That would be a good fourth. It's just who do you bring in for that fifth then if we're doing that?
Trying to think of anybody that's got it with Usos.
I was gonna say instead of Seth, maybe you could do the Street Profits just because they've had a long feud.
Yeah, true.
So you could do like the Street Profits, Drew, Sammy, and KO.
But Sammy's on Bloodline side. Oh, because Solo is there.
Yeah, Solo's there.
Sammy's on Bloodline.
Bogus is assuming that Sammy is with the Bloodline. I was kind of assuming he'll be gone by then. But if Sammy is with the Bloodline, then I still think KO's got to be on the opposition. Robbie Collins said you could do Drew, KO, Cody, and then the Street Profits. It seems like the chat's agreeing that the Profits have to be involved some way, but McIntyre, Owens, Profits, there's something there, and I think that might be the direction they're going, Erica, for Survivor Series main event, Bloodline versus Dream Team.
Yeah, and that would be cool too if that was for like everything
I don't know
on
how
the
you
line.
book that.
I don't know how you would do that.
Yeah, that'd
I
be
don't know how
tough
you
to
do that
book,
because it would
but
be like who took the pin.
well, that's how you kind of lead to a title match down the road. So, like, if Solo Sikoa or gets pinned by Seth Rollins, he gets a title shot at that belt down the line. Or, I'm not saying that's going to happen,
Got
but
it.
like maybe
No,
that's how you book the future based off of that.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea too.
Derek Vogus asks, so is the rumor true that Roman will not lose the belt until WrestleMania against The Rock?
Ooh.
That's what I'm hearing. Eric, I don't know how much you keep up with rumors and news, but that's what I've been hearing.
Interesting. I didn't, but I don't like change. I'm a creature of habit and I like longevity. So if I knew for certain that he was going to hold on to it until then, he's not going to lose it to The Rock.
No way.
Right. But
The Rock's going to put Roman over. If that's the match they're going for, I think Rock has to win. And I still like the idea. A lot of people have brought it up. Have Roman work both nights. Have a main event against The Rock one night, and then Cody Rhodes if he won the Royal Rumble.
And then have him lose the second night?
I think he would lose to Cody if they do that.
Cody deserves.
Mikey Wilson said, are we really going to do The Rock takes the belt off of him? No, I don't think so. I don't think they would. I think
at this point,
Rocky,
I don't think The Rock gives a shit about
winning titles
anymore. Yeah.
He's got Terramana, Zoa Energy. I'm forgetting all 5 businesses he's a part of, and he's an actor. So he's got a lot going for him. Let's go to the next
movie in the jungle to make.
Exactly. Let's go to the next question here. Ryan Matthews asked us to build our best pay-per-view between AEW and WWE. My answer was we did that a few years back on episode 38. Erica wasn't there for that, but I was going to say, Erica, I think we should revisit that topic maybe early next year.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, definitely.
We can definitely do that dream card. A Forbidden Door card, if you will.
An updated, yes.
So we'll give you an answer on that, Ryan, in a few months. Didn't he take it off of Punk? Yes, The Rock took the belt off of Punk at the Royal Rumble and then faced John Cena at WrestleMania. A live question from Robbie Collins. Rumors true, Logan versus Roman at Crown Jewels. I mean, he was on Impulsive, Logan Paul's podcast, and they kind of hinted towards it. And now he's going to be on SmackDown tomorrow night, Erica.
Interesting, because what do you do with that?
I mean,
obviously it's a dirt. You know what?
Good PR grab.
Does he lose? Logan Paul loses because Sami Zayn gets involved, which somehow no, because KO and Logan Paul had a falling out. No, that was The Miz and Logan Paul.
Yeah.
All right, things are going up.
I do think it might happen because they wouldn't have. Kind of hinted towards it on the podcast that they didn't have plans to go forth with it.
But I'm just curious how it plays out.
It's not going to be much of a match, I don't think. Maybe you'll get one close false finish with Logan hitting, Roman with a finishing move, and then that's about it. I think Roman obviously walks out with the belts, but it'd be a good way to get some publicity on the company for sure. Vogus live question asking, how much money would you pay to be Dom Mysterio right now? I'm sure a lot of people would pay a lot of money to be Dom Mysterio right now. I'm a fan of Rhea's. I am not attracted to her in that way, so I wouldn't pay much money for that. That's my.
Would you pay to have Dom's haircut though?
Yes, to have hair, I'd pay to have hair.
I just meant a gross mullet, but all right.
I mean, it's better than what I got going on. So
debatable.
Thank you. Let's move on here to this next question from Mikey Wilson. What tag teams could even take the titles off the Usos right now? Potentially a DIY, he asked. That's a tough question, and obviously the Young Bucks to the WWE rumors were kind of squashed a couple days ago. That was hot in the streets for about 48 hours. So I would have said that because you could have had a story in itself with Cody and the Bucks kind of feuding with the Bloodline. That would have been dope. But other than that, Erica, DIY might be the answer.
If not, I think it's going to have to be. I mean, it's all been done before, which is. Regardless, if it's a tag team that's already established now that we're seeing on TV every week, I think it would have to be a genuinely new, fresh storyline angle. Keep it hot, keep it going. That could be
maximum male models.
something like DIY where it's somebody and you strike while they're hot. You strike while they come out. It's sort of like Dakota and Io. Yeah, they lost that first match, but they came back and they were still hot. So it would have to be, not Usos versus Street Profits 25 times and the Street Profits win and they take the belts off of them. No, it'd have to be like DIY 2 or 3 weeks and then give DIY the belt. So
or you
a new tag team or
you can do what Steve's saying here because that's something that's been
that would be
rumored.
delicious. I did not. Yes, that is my pick. Thank
that
you,
one makes the most sense, Steve. He's saying Sami Zayn and KO. With storyline wise, you can just have KO trying to drag Sami out of the bloodline, and then eventually he opens up Sami's eyes, and then they take those titles from the Usos. Maybe,
or just the two of them are such just not chicken shit heels, but they're just such like dirty dogs that.
No, there's only one dirty dog out there, and that's
right.
Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, I as soon as it came out of my mouth, but I couldn't think of a better phrase.
Dirty dogs. You got to put the W in it,
cannot be trusted.
No, I like that.
Those French Canadians.
Or like Robbie said, Kyle and Tuck to take the belts. Book it. I'm not in this great a shape as I used to be. I can trust Tuck in a match, but I'll be just like the hot tag guy. Put me in for a quick burst. I'm in.
I'm in no shape. I would just be an Eddie Kingston to just start like clobbering, and then that's it.
And Mikey Wilson gives us a yes, boy. Pretty Deadly, the NXT Tag Team Champions. I don't see them dethroning the Usos, but they are doing some good stuff on Tuesday nights. This takes us to our next question, Erica. A very serious one here that Ryan Bogus, our MVM, is asking. How does Erica get so much vacation time?
As previously explained, contractual agreements.
I didn't agree to these terms.
You signed it.
I don't.
There was an addendum, and we all signed it.
I don't think so.
I'll fax you a copy.
See, I think we've explained it before. The reason we have 3 co-hosts is so if anybody is busy, take a step back. The other 2 can handle things. That's how we've been rolling.
It keeps it fresh. You had Tuck and Kyle. Now you got me.
A little bit of Marini, a dose of Marini on a Thursday night.
Like what's his name? Mambo number 5. A little bit of Erica.
Oh yeah, who sang that song again?
Yeah.
Who sang that song?
Like Louis Vega or something.
Oh yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, Zelina Vega's dad, right?
Vega. That's her uncle.
Uncle Baker. I saw a TikTok the other day. This is totally going off a tangent. It's like this guy. He's like after they got done performing Mambo number 4, and then you hear in the background, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 5," and he's like, "Oh." I'll send it to you. Nice. If anybody wants to see it, just follow me on TikTok at @2sweetkyle. Our friend Steve, SCW, asks, what are our thoughts on the new NXT logo change? Are we going fully back to the black and gold era of NXT? Erica, I don't know if you watched NXT, but I'm sure you saw, at least on Twitter, the new logo. What kind of vibes are you getting from that? You think we're going to transition back?
I do. I feel like it's like Triple H just being like, yeah, we know what happened, but don't worry, I'm back, and NXT is going to come back too. Something like that. It was very cheeky. It was very like, I don't know the word, alluding. Like, I don't know. I like it, and I think that because NXT has kind of fallen in a weird place for me, and I went from loving NXT over AEW any day of the week to like opposite. So I'm rooting for it, and I hope that it is a refresher. I hope it is something that Triple H has more of a hand involved in. Yeah, I don't know. Something about it's going to change, and I'm excited.
Yeah, we're definitely getting changed. They wouldn't throw that at the end of their 1-year anniversary of 2.0 if they didn't want to send a message. And that's something I've noticed too with ever since Triple H took over like creative for WWE. Every ending of shows, whether it's Monday Night Raw, last week's SmackDown with Cross choking out Drew, there's a cliffhanger. There's a reason to tune in the following week to see what is next. And I think that is the perfect way for NXT to just be like, you don't really know what we're doing, but shit's changing.
Yeah.
And you're going to still have the same superstars, I think, there. And I think even Talk brought it up last week. I don't know if you listened back to the episode, but he even feels like they were kind of getting away from like the horniness and the weird vibes that 2.0 had. And now they're going back to like a serious wrestling style.
Yeah, so it wasn't clicking for me. And especially when ultimately like your competition should be AEW, and I understand that maybe AEW shifted more towards competition for like SmackDown and Raw, and I respect that, but that's not how it started. And I just think like, yeah, you want to keep NXT as like an overtly PE, or not PC.
PG?
No, what's the word?
I don't know what the word
It's Diablo. You know, as like talent, what's the word? Like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
you do. Like,
No,
where
I
like
don't.
new kids go, where like they come to start. Developmental. If you want to like I openly keep it as a developmental show, like that's great, but I think it does need to have a more serious tone to it. I think I liked the colors like when it first happened, and I think we were all into it for like the first 3 weeks. We got Braun Breaker, and like we hated on his name, then we loved him in the ring, and then he became champion, and we all loved it. But then just like something fell off, and I just think bringing a serious tone like back to it would do nothing but good for people like performing and for us at home.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're exactly going to get like what it was
all the way.
Yeah, fully.
No, yeah, because you don't have that talent.
I do like how over the past year, what you were seeing on NXT 2.0 is probably what you're going to get if they get called up. Like they're not going to change the gimmick. They're not going to change the appearance. So they can keep that vibe, like keep that same energy. Don't, mess with anybody once they get that call up. Yeah. And you can even tell on commentary now too, they bring up NXT championships. They bring up what they've accomplished. And as long as you have the continuity between NXT and Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, I think we're cool with going back to black and gold and making it pro wrestling.
The third, and making it the third brand again, instead of like, we don't know these kids.
Right. Like
who's this?
When NXT was a part of Survivor Series, when I got to go to that pay-per-view in Chicago, that was the coolest thing ever.
That was the best. I mean, and that was all like unfortunate circumstances where they're all like stuck in Saudi Arabia or whatever the situation was that they had to have NXT. But that was awesome. And I now it really wouldn't vibe. Like I couldn't see Grayson Waller in a War Games match or like, whatever on like the main card. But yeah, acknowledge that you know these kids. Acknowledge that Raquel and Dakota were 2-time tag team women's champions. Like, don't pretend.
Did we lose Erica? Chat, let me know. I don't think it's my internet this time. Did Erica freeze? Just please let me know. I'm going to pull up some comments, though. Mikey Wilson saying, you guys should all name a faction and sell shirts. I'm not really good at naming factions and stuff. So. Oh, wait. You're slowly coming back. Now you're pouting and you're frozen. Hey, how are you doing?
Am I here?
It was you this time, by the way. It usually is me.
I kept talking. You go, where's Erica? I go, I'm talking.
All right. Just disregard what you just said and repeat it.
Okay.
Why you open up that bottom line?
I know. And I fucked it up. I'm going to have to go. Like when NXT acknowledge, did you hear me say acknowledge that like Dakota and Raquel were tag champions?
It was after that we lost you. Yeah.
Don't like when Pete Dunne got called up, you're not playing the stupid, like, who's the, if you're going to acknowledge that Corey Graves and Carmella are married in real life, you can acknowledge that Pete Dunne is Pete Dunne, whether you want to call him Butch, whatever the hell you want to call him now, like acknowledge that you know this man. Acknowledge that he's part of your brand. He's on the same payroll as you. So. Yeah.
So to answer Steve's question, we do think in a way black and gold NXT is coming back.
It's going to be black and gold 2.0, not NXT 2.0.
I like that. That's a good one. Robbie asks, do you think Wade Barrett will be on the main roster commentary at any point? I do think so.
I like it.
Because I don't know if they want to have Graves work both shows now that Pat McAfee's doing College Game Day, which is very unfortunate, Eric. I don't know if you noticed that Pat won't be on commentary during football season. It's a big bummer. Obviously, we all know how much of a fan I am of Pat, but yeah, I would like to see. I love what Wade Barrett. I think he's got good chemistry with Vic Joseph too down in NXT. They got a good dynamic going there.
Yeah, and I could see him on. I broke my cork and I have to push it into the bottle.
Let's go ahead and take care of that. I'll pull up Robbie's comment here. He said, was it not a bit weird? Solo won the belt on NXT even though he's on the main roster. I think that goes back to what we were just talking about, how you're blending the brands together. I think that's a perfect way to kind of, you have that NXT championship on SmackDown. You're going to get more eyes on the product down on Tuesday.
So tell me what belt he won, because I missed
North American.
Saw that. Okay. I saw Mello say I didn't lose the belt lost me, or whatever he said.
Yeah, he beat
and then
Carmelo
somebody
Hayes.
else too.
What do you mean?
No, just
Nobody
that.
else lost.
Maybe I think the women's tag got spoiled for me on Twitter too.
So they were, I think, doing taping. So please don't say what you heard because I didn't hear anything about the taping.
No. Oh no. I mean, what happened in real life?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
One. Yeah. No, that got spoiled.
Oh, that. Okay. I thought you were talking about
Shayna Baszler. Oh no.
I thought you were talking about the NXT Tag Team Championships because I thought they were doing some tapings down there that weren't going to be live. No, I agree with Steve though. He said as long as you can still share Von Wagner on Twitter every Tuesday where he says "Come Tuesday," I am fine with the NXT changes. So I think we're all caught up on the comments. So let's take a 20-second break here, Erica, while you figure out your cork situation, and we'll come back and answer the rest of your questions you got for us.
What's everybody saying about the On the Mark podcast?
It's just insane, and I love it.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
Unlike any other.
It's a great show.
We'll be right back after a brief intermission.
And just like that, we are back. We have about 8 or 9 questions left here on the Google Doc. So let's get right into them. Another Mikey Wilson question. He asked us a lot, Erica. And this is a good one. This is a fair question, I think. And I believe you're going to have a lot to say about it. He says, why is it that WWE brings in all these guys, all the returns, and gets praised for it? But when AEW brings all these guys in, they get criticized for having too many guys. What's your take on that question?
Say it again. I want to make sure I'm understanding it.
With WWE bringing all these guys back, guys and gals, and they get praised for it, why when AEW brings in all these new guys, they get criticized for it?
Might it be that a lot of the guys that WWE is bringing back are people that left during the Vince era? And AEW doesn't really have many homegrown talent. So that could come off as just like talent hoarding versus, all right, Johnny Gargano wasn't going to sign. He got or he left, whatever the hell, or I'm trying to think of somebody else right now. But like they came back and they're more comfortable coming. Who?
Cross.
The potential of Sasha and Naomi, I know that's getting ahead of myself, but I just think it's something that I think it's good when WWE brings these people back because I think it stands for something positive in WWE and the changes that have happened, that it's like Triple H making that.
There's that pre-existing relationship. Like they have ties to WWE, so bringing them back, it's not like WWE just going over to AEW and they're just getting all the people onto one roster. Like what Vogus is saying, WWE has 2 shows, one of them being 3 hours, another one being 2. So they have 5 hours of main roster television to tell stories and showcase them on, when AEW has really, and I agree with him, one watchable show in Dynamite that's only 2 hours. If you include Rampage, it's 3. And if you want to get even broader with it, NXT is another 2 hours. So WWE really, if they're bringing back talent, has 7 hours of weekly television. AEW has 3. So I think that's probably why there's praise on Triple H's end and when it happens in AEW, which is not happening much anymore because I feel like AEW has kind of maxed out all their free agent pickups, wouldn't you say?
I feel like also I've said this 1,000 times in the past, AEW is a company that I think, oh God, you have so many people, and I think off the top of my head, where's Penelope Ford been? And then she had a match on Dynamite. I just feel like they always it's a week or 2 after I randomly think of someone so-and-so hasn't been around. Where's she at? And then she has a match. I'm not saying it's staying power that she's going to continue to have matches, but they at least throw you a bone. Plus, no one's really watching Dark.
That I was going to bring up Steve's comment because he brought up Dark and Elevation. He said, I think it comes down to the fact that WWE had more hours per week, so he's agreeing with us. Their roster doesn't seem so bloated where AEW only has 3, and then Dark and Elevation don't really count. I would agree. Because
I'm not being rude. We have a Dynamite taping that's being taped, filmed at the casino. And I would go, but I was like, is it a Dynamite? Oh, I'm sorry, a Rampage. there is going to be a Dynamite, but I'm like, oh, it's a Rampage. I'm like, is it Dynamite too? And they're like, no, it's just Rampage
Dark and Rampage.
Dark. And I was like, I'm not driving an hour to drive an hour
blame
home at whatever time for that.
I don't
No,
blame you.
for an hour of good television or an hour of good wrestling. So
The hour, you're right. That
offense.
hour is going to be good, but Dark's just squash.
I don't need a squash. I don't need a Saturday Superstars of current day. Yeah, no.
I agree. Because Vogus and I went to the very first Rampage where Punk returned. The beginning of the show was just dark matches, and they went through maybe 15 in an hour. So it just like, how do you get the crowd involved? I just don't see how that's fun.
No, not wrestling has grown so much over the years that like that type of show. I understand it. You're giving people like Willow Nightingale that like started from super indies. Now she's got a match on Rampage this Friday. You're giving people like that opportunities, and I respect that, but I don't think it needs to be. I don't know. Put Willow against somebody. You know what I mean? Not like don't put Willow against Jade Cargill and be like, oh yeah, here you go on Dark. No, give me a Willow versus a Penelope Ford that you genuinely are like, let me see what could happen.
Yeah, that is true by Vogus. Erica Macaroni was born on Dark.
Well, every now and then.
That video is gold. I'll have to share it on our Pot on the Mark Twitter so everybody knows what we're talking about. Let's move on to this one from Robbie Collins. He wants to know what theme song we would walk out to if we were wrestlers.
So I always pictured myself there's a song by Muse called Psycho, and I always thought it would be like something like that. And I just pictured myself being very like, I don't know. Or I love like, if you're talking about like current wrestlers theme songs, I love like Thunder Rosa's entrance. So either way, something heavy, something probably metal or like dark and heavy and loud.
I actually had one answer for like one current wrestler and one like just regular song.
Oh, okay.
My current wrestler would be Johnny because I used Rebel Heart as my wiffle ball walk-up song. Yep. That song just resonates a lot with me. So that would be my choice if I had to steal from a wrestler. But for some reason, maybe it's just a Lil Wayne fan in me. Do you know the song Right Above It by Lil Wayne? I'm not going to play it because we'll get copyrighted and muted, but go ahead and look it up if you don't know. No, I'm not going to say it because it starts, the beginning is kind of like an instrumental and then it eventually gets into the rap. I kind of just envisioned myself vibing to the instrumental at the beginning. So that would be my choice if I had to pick like a regular any day song. So look up.
What would be your, for lack of a better word, like steez as a wrestler? Like I like to picture myself as kind of like I would be like very Paul Heyman-esque, but at the same time, like if I just would be very badass and would like murder you.
A boss ass bitch.
Yes, but like very like I would because I grew up with like idolizing China, so like I picture myself like I could take anybody down, like men, women, like it's nothing, like that type, And then if I turned heel, like that would be like where like the Psycho thing like comes in. And I'd be like,
I like that. That makes sense for you.
Old school cross. Yeah.
I could see that. I would kind of just try to be like a douchebag jock that acts like he's an Italian, but he's really not. Because in real life, I have like 25%, but I associate myself being more Italian.
You identify.
I would just be a cocky son of a bitch and act like I'm better than everyone else, which obviously is very generic, but I would have my own.
A little
twist.
Dolph. No, it works.
Yeah, you get where I'm going with it. That's just, it fits me more, and I would be more comfortable being somebody that is hated and booed than cheered. That's just me. Steve agrees with you. One squash here or there can elevate talent, but I agree with Erica. Wrestling has moved on. This isn't the 80s and the early 90s. Absolutely. Less is more when making impact with squash matches. Yep. Mikey Wilson going with, she thinks my tractor's sexy. I think Brock needs that one after SummerSlam, right?
Aye.
And Robbie says, for me, I'm taking Seven Nation Army. That really got the crowd going with Pat.
Can't go wrong.
It's a good one. And Pat doesn't use it anymore. So, Robbie, go ahead.
It's open. It's available.
It's all yours. Good choice. And good question, Robbie. Appreciate you. We'll make this one quick. Ryan Matthews asks, when is the Vogus is Bogus shirt going on the merchandise site?
Sip my tea.
My answer to that, Ryan Matthews, I will have it on the merchandise site if you buy one, because we love it when you guys support the On the Mark Wrestling podcast by going to the On the Mark Wrestling podcast.com, and maybe one day you will see a Bogus is Bogus shirt, but I'm only going to put that up there if Ryan Matthews wants to purchase one. So that's my answer to that. Eric, I'll let you get this or answer this one first from Steve Signor. He asked, will we ever see Zeke or any version of Elias again?
I think we have to. I don't know the matter in which we see him. I think he was so over when he was Zeke, and I think he kind of left more to be desired. I think he proved to be that like comedic relief, but also he's decent in the ring. I think there is another version of him to be seen, whether it's back as Elias. I don't necessarily see Zeke, maybe back as Elias, or what was the other one's name?
Oh, Elrod. Was it Elrod?
I'm not sure about Elrod, but I think something. He might come back as Elias, but I don't think he's gone for good.
I would like him to come back as Elias. Like if you're saying, if I had to pick, I would say just bring back Elias and stick to it, because if you keep like popping in and out with new gimmicks, he's really never going to be taken seriously. And I don't think Elias is bad by any means, but he doesn't set the world on fire in the ring. So let him just return to his form with Elias, and he could still be funny and entertaining. Like we know how he gets the crowd involved. He did it when he was. Remember when he was with Kevin Owens in Seattle, and he's like, "You guys can't even keep a basketball team," and he got booed for like 5 minutes. That was fantastic.
Yes, and you know what? Maybe just from watching Dynamite this week, but I feel like he'd be good in like a faction of sorts.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be on his own. He doesn't need to be like
maybe a tag
have
team.
A mouthpiece, but like just something. Just have him be part of something because his character is good.
I don't know why I'm thinking this. Tag team, Elias, Dexter Loomis.
Oh.
Some interesting characters just finding common ground and becoming something.
Yes.
I'm sure they can tell the story.
Yes, be the mouthpiece for Loomis.
Elias goes back to doing the open mic singing, and Loomis is just sitting there just staring.
Yes.
The entire time.
Yes.
Which Steve does have another question about Dexter Loomis we will get to later. But we got another one from Twitter. This is from @UndergroundTem1. He asked, did you guys ever watch Lucha Underground? If so, what was your favorite season and match? Erica, I only really popped my head in from time to time, and I think the only match I saw was Prince Puma, which was Ricochet versus John Morrison. So that's all my experience. Did you ever get into Lucha Underground?
I did not.
Yeah.
I regret it because I hear nothing but good, and I know it's something that I should eventually get into, and I most likely will, but I, as of this point, have not.
Homework for the chat, because there's 6 of you watching right now 7. If somebody has watched Lucha Underground, give us a match to watch. One match off the top of your head that you can remember from Lucha Underground, because I believe it is on one of the streaming services that we probably have, and we will report back to you next week and give our thoughts.
Yeah.
How's that sound, Erica? You got time for that?
Deal. Yeah.
Robbie says, can we just get all versions of Zeke in a match to decide which one sticks?
Let him be like Mankind in the Rumble. He starts off as Zeke. He gets eliminated. He comes back as Elrod. He gets eliminated. And then he comes back as Elias. And he gets eliminated.
Well, Mikey, that is an older promotion. He asked, honestly, how much wrestling are we expected to watch?
Mikey.
There's never too much wrestling. I watched wrestling from 2 o'clock today till 5 p.m. and it was live wrestling in the UK. It was GCW and their TNT promotion over in Liverpool. So never too much wrestling. That's the answer. Steve's giving us an answer. Any Aztec Warfare match. Fun episode.
Ooh, okay.
Erica, I'll find an Aztec Warfare match for us and we'll watch it. How's that sound?
Deal. Or Steve, if you have a specific one, let us know.
But thanks, Underground Tem1, for your question. Hopefully you're able to listen to it back.
I love all of this.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more questions, Erica, which is probably perfect because we're about 50 minutes in. Let's get to this one. This is from our MVM, Ryan Vogus. And this is a good one, Erica. I'll let you go first because my answer might surprise you. If you're Triple H and you have a choice to get one acquisition of the suspended AEW talent, who would you take? CM Punk, Kenny Omega, or the Young Bucks? You only get one. to bring over to WWE?
Well, it ain't gonna be Punk.
I agree.
Um,
We both can agree we're crossing Punk off just because he's a head case.
it ain't gonna be Punk. I would love to see the Bucks. I don't know that they ever would. I feel like they've just talked so much shit. I would love to see Kenny over there just having matches
He's never had before.
that he hasn't had before. And just kind of bringing his Kenny Omega vibe to WWE, which ultimately would like shake WWE because I don't know if they've ever had somebody like Kenny Omega, because I don't know that wrestling's ever had someone like Kenny Omega. He's kind of like his own.
I would say the
category.
closest thing maybe is the AJ Styles, just by traveling and work rate.
But like the way that Kenny is, like personally, I don't know. He's just kind of like a weird dude. I like it. So I would say Kenny.
Okay.
You?
I would say the Young Bucks.
Go
I
on.
I
Go
agree.
on, King.
I agree with Mikey Wilson. And we know, or at least most people that listen should know, I am not a fan of the Young Bucks. I've stated that numerous times, but I respect their work because they put on entertaining matches and they get it. They know what gets people talking. That's the one thing that has eluded the Young Bucks, their entire careers, is that the big stage of WWE. With Kenny, I think it just turns into a dream match situation. But with the Bucks, you can actually tell many stories, and it adds a legitimate tag team to a tag team division that probably needs it, especially right now with the Usos' reign. Like, if you're looking at the current tag teams in WWE, we even struggled to name like one that would take the titles away from the Usos. If you bring the Young Bucks over, the Young Bucks can beat the Usos and have banger of matches with the Usos, the Street Profits, Hit Row. I mean, the Alpha Academy. There is matches to be had.
They've got a hell of a social media game too.
I would love to see it. So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
My answer to that question, and it was a great one, Bogus, is the Young Bucks. Steve says other Lucha Underground recommendations: Prince Puma versus Rey Mysterio versus Ultima Lucha Dos. Okay. And Aztec either season 2 or 3. Okay. Remember that, Erica. Noted. And Mikey says, let them be the thorn in Triple H's side. Give them the DX treatment. Let them loose as the anti-heroes. That's great booking. I like that, Mikey.
That's a thorn. I love it.
That's I guess we could say Mikey Wilson is booking it better. That's the old Mikey Wilson YouTube show he used to do for OTSN. So
also, did the Bears win?
The Bears did win.
Kennedy strikes again.
Yeah, Kennedy. I think Kennedy picked the 49ers, though.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, I think she did. So Kennedy started off 0-1. But she was wearing her Bears jersey. I don't blame her for taking the Niners. It was a monsoon in Chicago that day. It was
awful watching them. I showed my mom. I was like, now rewind and watch his like feet splashing during like warm-ups. It was terrible.
Did I tell you where I'm going this weekend?
God. No, where?
I'm going to Green Bay. I'm going to Packers Bears Sunday Night Football. Yeah.
No shit.
I leave. It's just me and the family. We're leaving Saturday morning. The game's Sunday night, and I'll be back Monday. But yeah, Packers Bears game is this weekend.
Awesome. Love it.
We need a bounce back win, Erica. So I need you on the Packers side.
You're not getting it.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Oh, Kennedy did go 49ers -6.5. Not great. The whole house went completely defeated this weekend. Not a good weekend for gambling, that's for sure. Here we go. And speaking of Mikey Wilson, I think he's got 2 more questions here. He asks, again, AEW gets criticized for having too many belts, and WWE gets none for having 4 top belts on 3 guys. Haven't even seen a world title on Raw in how long? Why is that?
Are you saying the 4 top belts? Oh, on 3 guys. I don't think there's anybody in AEW that touches the bloodline. No. So I feel like, to me, that's the only reason that's justifiable. I think AEW has something to prove with the amount of belts that they have. I like that they recently brought up the transatlantic belt Mid-Atlantic when Stokely was talking to Ethan Page. So it's like, to me, that's probably the most forgettable one. No offense. Just because probably it's the newest. So I think they have some work ahead of them as far as keeping all those belts alive and well. But I think as to why maybe WWE doesn't get as much slack is probably because there's no one in AEW that can stand up to Bloodline at the moment.
Well, I would agree that they should get more criticism before Triple H took over.
WWE?
Yeah, but ever since Triple H took over, yes, there is a void with the world title on Monday Night Raw, but he's putting so much focus on women's tag team championships, the U.S. title, Intercontinental title having the best match in the last PLE. There's more of a focus on other titles where in AEW, you just have everybody that's making an entrance, whether it's Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti, who are mixed gender tag team champions in another company. They incorporate too many other companies' belts onto their TV. Like, if you kept it strictly AEW and Ring of Honor, I'm cool with it. But we don't need you to be holding every single belt that you won on the end.
And I like when, like, Mox won All Out 2021 that we went to when he showed up at the GCW show, remember, with Cardona, we lost our minds.
Right. Yep.
And he won, and he showed up that night on All Out the next night with that GCW belt. Like, I like that. I like acknowledging that this man is champion in another company, just as FTR does. But they aren't putting them on the lines on AEW or whatever. Like, they're keeping it, like, within the business. I like the acknowledgement of other companies existing, but like you said, it doesn't need to be a Ruby Riott Ortiz versus Sammy and Tay thing. No.
It's just different. Like, in AEW, they feel like props. In WWE, they mean something because there's a story behind it.
Yes. And honestly, to me, it used to be vice versa. Because I was like, WWE's not taking shit seriously and whatever. And like, now they are.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. So this next one is from SCW Steve. He asked, what are our predictions for AEW Grand Slam? That is happening next Wednesday, right, Erica?
It is.
And you're not going?
I could be there, but I'm playing. I mean, probably not.
Oh,
tickets were weird at first.
Also, good point from Vogus. Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley for the U.S. title next week. That's huge.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, back in the day, like, the Intercontinental title is my favorite one, especially the white one.
Agreed.
And, like, that used to, like, be a big deal, like, back then.
Yeah.
And, like, now sometimes you're like, who's, like, the Intercontinental champion? So, like, I like that thing. Like, the tide is kind of turning and, like, it's becoming a bigger deal now. Arthur Ashe.
I can run down the card. I can run down the card for you, and you can just give me quick predictions if you want.
Sure. Nobody hold me to them. Also, I love that it's Mox versus Danielson.
Yeah, me too. Love that. I didn't know this match was happening, but this is what this site's saying. ROH World Title, Claudio Castagnoli versus Chris Jericho. Did you remember seeing that announced?
Not at all.
I don't. Well, if it does happen, I don't know how legitimate this site is. Who would you take in that match? Claudio?
Let's go Claudio.
Okay. I know this one's happening. AEW All-Atlantic Championship, Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Who do you like in that one?
I don't know. Next.
I'm going to go with Pac. I'm going to go with Claudio, and then I'm going to go with Pac. But, I mean, Orange Cassidy would be a good flip now that Pac is Trios champion.
Yeah. And let's give Orange Cassidy best friend something.
Yeah, because we thought they had a chance probably against Death Triangle.
I sure did. Yeah.
Interim AEW Women's World Championship. You have Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb versus Athena versus Dr. Britt Baker. It's probably too soon to take it off Tony, right?
Agreed.
Okay, so we're in agreement there. AEW World Tag Team Championship. This one's interesting. Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed. Who do you like?
I think they're going to make up for what didn't happen at All Out, and I think it's The Acclaimed.
Listen, The Acclaimed are going to become tag team champions next week.
And I asked for Christmas the Scissor Me Daddy Asher, and then they came out with the Scissor Me Daddy shirt.
That was good. Robbie, real quick, I asked Steve this earlier. When do you reckon Jericho's back in WWE? Woo! I reckon as soon as the Rumble in 2023, if not just before. I think that might be a little too soon. I'm not sure what the contract situation is, but I think it's inevitable that he returns to WWE soon, right?
I don't know. I am always flustered and like blown away at the thought of it. Just like with Cody.
Oh, and Steve's clarifying Claudio versus Jericho was teased last week on Rampage. but no announcement to my knowledge yet. Must be announced on Rampage. Got it. Okay. That's probably why it's on this match card right here, because they're going to announce it tomorrow night. And then the main event for the AEW World title, Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. Who do you got, Erica?
Give it to Bryan Danielson. Okay, 2 scenarios. Give it to Bryan Danielson. Let Jon Moxley have the vacation he deserves. Let Jon Moxley win. Let MJF take it off of him in whenever amount of time, and then let Mox take his vacation. So,
well,
either way.
Here's my thinking. I agree. Bryan Danielson, I think, should be the next AEW World Champion. But when Bryan Danielson originally came to AEW, I don't think he was chasing titles.
No, like Punk.
This is where you have MJF come down after a grueling 30-minute match between Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson and say, I think I want my title opportunity right now. MJF walks out of Arthur Ashe with the AEW World Championship. That's my prediction.
Could do it.
So, Steve, good question, because that is happening next week. Very excited for it. And it looks like Bogus is going with Swerve in Our Glory and fully turn heel.
And then read who is that sassing? Is it me?
He's sassing Mikey Wilson because Mikey Wilson said something about. So Mikey said Lashley's the U.S. champion. Watch the product, Bogus. And then Bogus said, the challenger is always mentioned first, rookie. Little feud going on. That's why they're in that tag match together.
Got it.
That's why I put them there. So 3 more. These are kind of quick hitters, so then we can wrap things up here, Erica. Mikey asks, this is his last question, should Jade Cargill drop her baddies gimmick and join the Blackpool Combat Club?
No.
My answer is no.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think we can keep that one short.
Yeah.
Jeff Samuel checking in. Sup, guys? How do you feel about this acclaimed win and Swerve turning heel? I think that's the direction we're headed, right?
I like it. And I feel like Swerve fits the heel gimmick. I can't see Keith Lee there yet, but like Swerve, like when he did that, like Cero Mero, like down his pants thing. I just like Swerve is like natural heel, and I love it. And I just feel like everybody loves the Acclaimed.
They definitely do now. You and Vogus were on the Acclaim train early, and I got to give you guys both credit because they are fantastic. I never disliked them, but now I'm starting to get it. And I agree with Steve 100%. And also, shout out to Steve and Robbie. I believe it is like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. where they live. The fact that they are watching us live, I mean, bravo to you.
Every Friday, I like reflect back on the show, and I'm like, those crazy motherfuckers were up at like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., watching the show and supporting it. That's crazy. You guys are nuts, and I love it.
Insane. Carson Nathan says, sup, Kyle? Hi, Erica. Oh my God, Sammy is leaving the show. It's on his Instagram. This is not a good look for AEW. Wait, what?
Sammy could go.
Is that actually a legitimate thing? Somebody, while we answer these last 2 questions, go to Sammy Guevara's.
Carson.
Yeah, go to Sammy Guevara's Instagram, because if he actually is leaving AEW, we got some breaking news to talk about to end the show. All right, second to last question from Steve Signor. He asked, what's the end game with Loomis and Miz? I think it's definitely Loomis going over. I don't know how you go about it, what kind of match you do. That's a good question.
I love it because I just love it because I feel like Miz was the perfect guy to introduce Dexter Loomis to the main roster. He's just like such a chicken shit. And it gives me like the vibes from the Halloween Havoc when it was the House of Horrors match or whatever, when it was Loomis versus, what's his name? Cameron Grimes.
Right.
Yeah, definitely Loomis going over. I don't know how exactly it ends. Something spooky, maybe something. Is there a Halloween episode of Raw? But I feel like it'll probably maybe cap off there.
Right.
But
I think the payoff really, Steve, to answer that question, is just Loomis getting over more. And like you said, Miz is that guy. Miz is the guy to put people over.
The perfect guy. Yeah.
I mean, Robbie, you're insane. He said it's 2 a.m. I have to be up at
Robbie,
7 a.m.
you have to go to school tomorrow.
Go to bed, bro.
Go to bed.
He wants to know if he's going to win the MVM. That's what it is. Oh no! Did Erica freeze again, guys?
Oh, I did.
I tell you what. Oh, you're back.
Now?
You're back. You. Oh, so yeah, 2 a.m. Randy Sam is asking Indy and Loomis versus Miz and Maurice.
Oh my God.
And Erica and Kyle at Survivor Series. Look at that.
Is that a triple?
I think we
tag
can
match?
take them, right?
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I got.
I think you have better odds at handling Maurice and Indy
70-30.
than me handling Loomis and Miz. They're
Miz.
both pretty big dudes. Yeah.
Taking nothing away from.
I'm going to be the chicken shit heel. Tag Erica, get in. That's what I'm
it.
gonna do every time. And then I'm going to applause myself.
And I'll channel my inner China, and I will just demolish those men.
Okay, so Vogus is confirming it was definitely a reflecting on his career tweet. He didn't say he's leaving.
He's doing anything to stay relevant right now.
Everybody in AEW is doing similar shit like that just to get their name in the.
But he does that every week. Oh, you know what? I got shit to get off my chest. Check out my new vlog. Fuck off, Sammy.
Wow. Okay. All right. One final question. This is very fitting because this is obviously a podcast. Robbie Collins asked if we could pick 3 wrestlers to be a guest on OTM. Who would they be? Erica, I think Eddie Kingston would be one of your 3.
For the top of my head, because he would just have so much to say. I feel like he would be very interactive, and I just feel like he's very down to earth, and I think he'd be a great guest.
Oh, to further go off the Instagram post, Sammy has a handshake with Cody on his Instagram.
He's probably trying to play off like the MJF name dropping everybody last week. Just Sammy, MJF did it first and did it better. Do you see Ty going back to WWE after the shit that she talked because nobody gave a shit about her?
Maybe because she's just kind of a valet in AEW now.
It's the wine dog.
Jeff Samuel, we did discuss that topic a little earlier. So if you want to go back, I believe it was around the half-hour mark. We talked about the black and gold brand coming back.
Tell me to sign up for the PC. I'm too old.
What'd you say?
20. He said sign up for the PC.
Oh,
I said I'm too old. 20 years ago, that was my dream.
We'll go back and forth. So Eddie's one of yours. We'll go with the obvious ones to start off then. Johnny Gargano. I've met him twice. I think he's a genuine guest. I saw him on The Bump. He was on After the Bell with Corey Graves. He's just a genuine dude. I'd like him on the podcast.
I think that Mox would be a good guest too, because I feel like he's just like a bro that's what do you want to know? And just spews it out for you.
Adam Cole.
Bullshit.
Adam Cole would be one of mine. I favor towards the people that seem like a genuine good human being outside the ring. And Johnny and Adam Cole are those guys that like immediately I think of. So yeah, he'd be my number 2.
If I can get a tag team for mine, I would take Best Friends, because I feel like you want to talk about like down to earth dudes that would put on a good show. I think it's Chucky T and Trent.
And Vogus answered my number 3. I was going to say this, Kevin Owens. We got to meet him when we first started OTM, and he was a very chill dude. And he's been on a roll the past year in WWE, so I think he'd have a lot of fun stories to tell.
Oh, Jeff Samuel said Paul Heyman for the stories. That is a good.
Oh yeah, that's a good comment.
Imagine.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure he would have plenty. He also said Kevin Owens for how to cut a promo and get over with the fans, because that promo that Kevin Owens had on Monday Night Raw,
he could teach a course.
I tell you what, Erica, that man's clicking on all cylinders.
I'll tell you what.
You
say it.
So we are now Vogus. God damn it! He goes and then right back at Goldberg. I knew that was coming. He was just setting me up. In our private chat, I proposed a question.
I vote Lars Sullivan. Go ahead.
Lars Sullivan for the MVM?
For a guest. Go on.
Yeah, I'm out on Lars Sullivan. Maybe if we're getting Lars Sullivan, we can get Velveteen Dream. Because he's got a lot to say about cocaine and EC3.
And
Dirk asked if Paul Heyman on vacation. I believe he's taken more of a backstage role, and he's still selling that F5 from Brock Lesnar to answer that question. But Erica, it's that time of the show, the most valuable mark. We award it at the end of every single podcast. And we had plenty of interaction this week, not only just with the questions, but with the live chat, which was making things very difficult. I proposed a question to you in private, and you really didn't give me a straightforward answer.
I did, but I'd also like to say, I think anybody that has watched the show more than once knows I have a very difficult time making decisions. So I am with it. as I said on this one, but as soon as I say it, then I'm like, oh, what about this one? This one?
Oh, let's give it to this one. It's not always about quantity.
It's a group tag. It's a group title.
Not
Everybody
always
wins.
about quantity. It is about quality. But this person was here from the beginning to the end.
My own show.
They stayed up like usual till 2 a.m. in the morning to watch us. And that is not the reason why they're getting this. It's because they provided some excellent questions, excellent feedback. We have a new MVM of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. It is Steve from SCW, the Wrestling Channel. So,
Snaps for Steve.
Congrats to Steve. Well earned. He takes the title from Bogus, who will probably win it back next week, because that's just how these things go, Erica. That's how they go. Bogus ends up getting back.
When did the title come off of Mr. Bogus is what I want to know.
Oh, when Ryan won it back from Mr. Bogus.
It was Mr. Bogus. It wasn't Bogus.
It was when you were on, but then Ryan Bogus won it last week.
This is what happens when I'm not here. Sorry, Mr. Bogus. Also,
Yeah,
sorry, Maggie Wilson.
And look at that. And
it's my own faction.
This is a first for Bogus. He usually bashes the MVM. He goes, I accept this. Well done. So a nice face gesture from Ryan Bogus and Robbie Collins.
That's a handshake at the end of a match.
I like
Robbie,
that. A
you're
little
an angel.
respect
You're a
here.
Sweet angel. Yes.
A little respect on episode 113.
I
But
love it.
Erica, we didn't talk really. I mean, we kind of did talk about current wrestling, but we just let the listeners steer the ship, and here we are an hour 10 in. Did you enjoy this?
I loved this. I did. I think it was great. I loved the interaction. You guys came up with like such great questions that like my mashed potato brain couldn't even put together. With like
you did well. You did better.
And you know what? Like I started to glance at the questions. I saw them on Twitter, and then I started to glance at like the spreadsheet, and I was like, you know what? Let's just like see what happens. So as you were asking like the last 9, I was like, I'm just gonna answer them on the fly and like whatever.
Hell
It was great. It was great. You guys are like, those were like great questions.
Yeah, fantastic. We might have to do this again. We got to thank you from the MVM, Steve himself. Appreciate you, Steve, for tuning in. Bogus's comments
Ryan,
make me
that's
laugh.
rude.
I don't know the difference between Robbie.
Robbie Collins is an angel.
Robbie Collins is over the pond, and Ryan Matthews is here in Northwest Indiana. And Erica's about to get arrested. It sounds like there's a cop right outside here.
Hear that?
It's very
I live
loud.
in the center of town, so I feel like.
Dirk Bogus, good question. What's on the agenda for next week? I don't think we have any pay-per-views or PLEs coming up next weekend, do we?
I don't think there's any, right?
Maybe we'll go over just the current wrestling landscape, Dirk. I'm not 100% sure, but if you make sure you are following us at Pot on the Mark, whether that be on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, you will be able to see what we are going to be talking about on the next upcoming episode, which will be episode 114. Hopefully, Tucky will be back. Us 3 haven't been on a podcast in would be a month. It would be a month if we
That's
actually.
crazy. And think about like when we go like when you go a week without recording, or I go a week without recording, we're always like this. It feels like it's been a month. It's been a literal month since like I've seen Jim Tucker's face on my laptop. That's nuts. Tucky, this is for you. Not this one. That's empty.
Dirk Bogus said he loves us, by the way, Erica.
I love you, Mr. Bogus. We love you, Mr. Bogus.
We do love you, Mr. Bogus. Grand Slam next weekend, Acclaim versus Keith and Swerve. Kyle, I'm going with the Acclaimed.
Want to scissor me?
You gotta wait. Go over here. Come on.
Yeah, because nobody
over
wanted
here.
to
Other way. Other way. Other way. You're going
doing
the wrong
it.
way. No, you're not. You're going the wrong way.
You can't scissor like this, Kyle. You got to scissor like this. I got to teach this kid everything.
You are going the wrong way. You are on the other side of the screen. The chat will tell you right now. You're looking at it a different way. Flip it around.
You want to see me?
Good Lord, Erica. You're doing it the wrong way. Let's see if the chat can.
Do you want to see me? Go ahead, do it.
Yeah. Well, I will show you at the end.
And I'm going to show you right now.
This show has gone off the rails, people. I appreciate you, Steve. It's an awesome show and great set of questions.
No, it's on the wrong side.
You are on the wrong side, you bitch.
Okay, hang on.
Scissor me, Marini. Scissor me.
Go over here.
Yeah, go.
I don't, because I don't understand. I'm texting everybody right now.
Oh, Erica ruined it, but that's all we got for you guys this week. Thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling podcast.